Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the final installment piece on the Kanye West Black KKK robe video that he is going viral now. And everyone's talking about his interview with DJ Akademiks. I wanted to do first, and then I decided to do it last, which is this one, on how I have always seen Kanye West as that borderline genius, borderline insanity that comes with genius. Now, I'm not calling him insane, but I look at him in the same way that I know the real life story of Vincent van Gogh, who is, to me, a very favorite painter artist that I've always adored. But I love his life story because it is such a story of rise and fall, up and down, pain, alcohol, demons in his head, insanity, but the genius was always there to bring him back. I look at that in line with Kanye to some degree, that type of lifestyle. Harrison Ford, not Harrison Ford, but Henry Ford had it. One of the Disneys, not Walt Disney, but one of the Disney brothers had it. I'm understanding that Picasso had some of it. Certainly, as I said, Vincent van Gogh had some of it. It is that fine line of genius to insanity where the artists themselves are in their own frame of mind as they're creating, and they are, what I would say, connecting to the creation in a way that those of us who either just enjoy the finished product or are involved with art too, can't even understand because we don't have that fine line, what I call a fine line of genius to insanity. Their brains work differently. And because they get frustrated in trying to convey that to the rest of us whose brain does not work so differently, there is a sense of friction from them that comes from them in trying to say almost like, why don't you get this? I'm trying. And it's their own madness. You hear it in this interview with Kanye and DJ Akademiks, certainly in the very early part. If you go through the first 10, I believe it's the first 10 or 10 to 15 or 20 minutes of that interview, you can hear the pacing and the racing in Kanye's voice. It's that controlled anxiety. It's like, they're trying to do this and the industry this and the talk and the speeding up of the words and all of that. That is a natural phenomenon within a person that's on that borderline of genius and insanity. It is their natural mannerisms, I'll say, that most of us don't have or even have an understanding of. But we know that it is a mental health piece. Now, despite what you know of Kanye West, you probably know of Kanye West, heard of Kanye West. The one thing that we all tend to at least know about him besides his music and his vernacular, his ability to verbalize, is the fact that he does acknowledge and has had publicly his mental health issues. And with that is that genius to insanity thing, that borderline thing, and he had even been hospitalized for that. I pray and worry sometimes, and I think it was also in a piece of this, where either a commentator, and I can't recall because I view so much footage in my own preparation of things that sometimes I can't connect which is which. And if you watch my channel for any piece of time, any length of time, you know that I say I often don't use notes. I vault in what I know about. But having said that, there was a connection that someone was saying, oh, I hope they don't Wendy Williams him. God forbid. Because that would be a control of his complete financial dichotomy of everything. And he is a billionaire with a B, not a millionaire with an M. He is surpassed that many years ago. He's a billionaire with a B. So I worry about that because, too, think about it. A lot of times artists tend to fight for their either creative rights, royalty rights, catalog rights. Betty Davis fought hard for her acting rights and liberty to, work as an actress beyond the Warner Brothers who she battled with. All of that Hollywood control is a lot of times when they get to the point of wanting to control after losing control to you. Now, Prince escaped it. But after losing control to you is the thing that they underhandedly do, like the Wendy Williams, where you are under conservatorship. And Britney Spears is a perfect example of that. Or you're hit with such taxes that you go bankrupt to some degree or another. And all of that all of a sudden these things start happening. I'm afraid of that for him because he does carry a vault of talent that continues to make money for him even now, that he has supposedly been so counseled, especially the biggest one from Adidas. I want to say it was the Adidas. But in looking at him and listening to him and watching him in this interview and seeing his pain of betrayal, as I mentioned before, his desire to keep his daughter out of his industry pieces, his feeling alone and feeling watched and feeling that he needed to run off to Japan for safety, all of this lines up with the paranoia of a Vincent van Gogh type. Because if you study the Vincent van Gogh story, and I suggest that you go and just see that, he too ran off away from everything and everyone. He ended up having a drinking binge where he was just a near alcoholic in order to resurface back the best parts of his paintings, which came after his crisis. And so a lot of times that genius crisis breaks open more of the genius work as it goes forth. And that happened to Kanye twice already when he was, I think, before he married Kardashian, but also when he was hospitalized. He came back even more. He got the Adidas contract. He got, I think it was the Gold Digger song with Jamie Foxx came after some of his crashing, I'll say. So when we witness this type of, like, I don't want to say outcry, but verbal velocity, I'll say. His verbal velocity is a demand for something by which his genius can't seem to communicate, like I said earlier, to the rest of us. And he wants something different from what he has right now. And he can't seem to make it change. So this is coming out and he starts arrow shooting at everyone. And that's a common way of an outcry. And I will say an outcry. I'll say an outcry. So it's the genius of insanity. And we all feel for that. And we hope the person make it through that. And more than anything, I hope that he rises like a phoenix yet once again, but to hopefully find someone by which he can fully trust, at least to some degree or another, so that his life could be pleasantly unchallenged moving forward. And after all, that's what we all want, a peaceful, loving, inhabitable life, even as a genius. And I love you. If you've gotten this far, please click like, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a little prayer for Kanye tonight or meditate. Good night.